can you hear me on this? Yeah. So, thank you for joining us this morning. We are here to discuss everything to do with the body, which a while ago used to be quite straightforward, but oh my goodness, it's changed over the last few years. So we have gone from, I'm sure everybody remembers that bikini body, beach body, perfect. That was the look. Then we went into the diversity movement, which was far more about acceptance. Then it was about health and strength. And now it's gone from slim to thin with the new famous fat jabs. So everything, and I think probably over 15 years at the most, that's how much it's changed. So there's a lot to discuss. And we have a brilliant panel. I was lucky enough to talk with them a few weeks ago. I've already been following their tips and advice, and it's really great stuff that we can do at home. Really, it's body changing, I would say. Really straightforward stuff. So first of all, I'd like to introduce Dr. Anna-Marie OLSEN, who is an internationally renowned expert in aesthetics and a longevity expert. And she also teaches other aesthetic doctors at UCL. Then we have Dr. Anna MANSOURI, who is an aesthetic doctor known for her light touch and natural, undetectable results, the best sorts of results. And I can tell you one thing, in her clinic, you certainly won't find a Brazilian butt lift. Thank goodness. And then at the end, we have Fazana Nasser, who is a functional nutritionist. And I love her because she brings clarity and sense, and most of all, inspiration to the whole approach of what we should eat and what we shouldn't eat. So I wanted to start by asking all of you, we know that this whole approach to the body, and it's not just new treatments, but how we talk about the body, the language, how we think about the body, what gives us confidence. It's changed so much, but you are all seeing real people in real time every day in your clinics, and I'd like to know what women are saying to you, the language they're using, maybe the things that they're having, the issues they're having problems with now. So Anna-Marie, maybe we start with you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, great. Hi, everyone. First of all, and I'm happy to see a gentleman among the audience, I think one thing that signals the difference we're experiencing currently is that it's not only women, it's also men. There's a huge rise in awareness of how we look, how our body looks, which has been fed by the rise, as you said, of GLP-1 and 2 inhibitors. So anyway, injectables that support accelerated weight loss, because now that is how these are termed, and there's a reason, because all scientific publications that tried to study them decided to use this term accelerated weight loss medication to help people, consumers who use them, understand that that's what it does. It works in a fast way, good or not. So I say because, therefore, and there's FOMO with everything anymore since COVID, like if one person does one thing, everyone else has to do it. Korean skin is a good example. Yeah, Koreans have great skin, but people who live in Africa can never have Korean skin, but they still want it. So because of that, and the rise of GLP-1 and 2s, there's more interest. Okay, now I'm thin, but oh my God, I look very old. So we have skinification of the body, it's called scientifically. So the same concerns I had about the skin on my face, now I have about the skin on my body. So what peels do I use? I need to make my skin firmer. So the questions I'm getting now, the shift in the clinic, would be questions that a few years ago would concern the face or the décolleté. Now it's about the body. So, and it wasn't before. The body was simple: stretch marks, cellulite, laxity. That's it. Now it's okay. I want this to look like that.
Okay. And Dr. Anna, what about you? What are your patients asking for? What are their problems?
Yeah, so similarly, I've also noticed that the body has become more part of the conversation, more so than ever, and particularly in the last couple of years, most likely because of the rise of medication-driven weight loss. But it's more recently less about chasing perfection and more about restoration. And often it is some kind of life event, whether it's weight loss or postpartum or menopause related, that it's about feeling and looking more confident, but in a healthy manner.
Fazana, what about you? If you have a different, yours is more of a inside-out approach. What are your patients, your clients now coming to you for? I guess number one with nutrition, confusion.
Yeah, absolutely. To see if actually what can I do from the inside that can impact how I feel on the outside. So, energy. Once you have more energy, you can do everything else that you want to do, right? Like your energy, how's your gut, supporting the gut as much as possible. How are your hormones? What can you do to support your hormones from the inside out so you feel better? What can you do to support your mood, your skin? It's all a reflection of what's happening on the inside as well.
Dr. Anna, I wanted to ask you, so my one issue with body treatments is that they are great, and as you've said, both of you have said, it's more like they want to continue the good work they've done on their face, and now it's creeping downwards. And I read a while ago that for this year, luxury body products is the big growth area. So, but a lot of these treatments are costly in time and in money, and then there's the maintenance. And then there's so much information and misinformation out there. So you have a lot of machines that you've used over the years. I know it's difficult to say, but for the sort of general problems that people coming in of having a better quality of skin, what would be your favorite treatments? Can you just talk us through them?
Yeah, so as you say, there's lots out there, and there is a limited amount of time and funds that each patient has. So we have to be really pragmatic about our approach and very transparent in terms of the purpose of it, and evidence-based. So it's about taking aesthetics back into medical aesthetics and guiding them. Now, my approach is layered and tiered, because I find in my experience that rather than doing so much of one thing, if we combine different modalities that target different structures or biological processes, they work better together. So, for instance, if we're talking about medication-driven weight loss and skin laxity on the body, my preferred trialed and tested approach would be a combination of home care, skin care, the same way that we look after the face to look after the body, combined with supplementation, and then going into in-clinic treatments such as Sculptra for the body, which is a regenerative biostimulator to stimulate collagen. And then we combine that with SoftWave, for instance, energy-based skin tightening, and we finish it off with M-Sculpt to then also support tone, posture, and strength. And then it all comes down really nicely together, but in a valuable way that's still tasteful and natural.
And is it a bit like an approach of maybe going to the gym and working out, is that it takes time? It's like you have a starting point. This is not an instant quick fix when it comes to the body now. Is that the approach of it'll take a period of time to get to where you want to be?
Absolutely, and I think in the same way that patients choose their practitioner, we also have to be choosy about our patients, because we have to make sure that they understand that these outcomes aren't just a quick fix, and it's actually my responsibility as a doctor to be honest and truthful in the way that I need to protect their investment. So I always say to my patients, I treat your money and your time like it's my own, and unless you are able and willing to commit to the long-term protocol and the combination method, then there's really no good space for the long-term outcome. But when you do go with this layered and tiered approach, the results are so much more valuable. The results are longer lasting, and over time you end up needing less intervention anyway.
And I guess it's maintenance as well. So it's not just coming to you for a program for 3 months. It's a commitment.
Absolutely.
If they want to maintain the results.
Absolutely. So it's not just the protocol of the combination of, say, the Sculptra injectable and the energy-based device, but it's about maintaining the collagen stimulation, the cellular turnover at home with skincare. For instance, the Elastin Transform Body has got this really interesting new technology of Trihex technology with the supplementation, so providing those daily building blocks for collagen and cellular renewal, so they all feeds into each other. So the in-clinic treatment and the home care, it's like 1 + 1 = 3. Together, they're so much more powerful.
I know when we spoke before, you were telling me that you initially used to prep patients for facelifts, and you could see a difference in women who'd looked after their skin consistently and those who hadn't. So that's one of the first things that got you interested in looking after the skin. Is you were saying what people do at home, their body care at home is really key. So what would be the perfect at-home routine? What do you recommend?
So it depends. It's a case-by-case basis. So of course we take into account age and environmental and hormonal factors, but there are certain non-negotiables that you just, I really stress as a mandatory part of our protocol in clinic. And those are quite simple and evidence-based. So for instance, in terms of home care, I would expect any patient who invests in biostimulation to do at least a simple ABC approach with a targeted serum for topical care. A is for vitamin A or retinoids, B is for sunblock, C is for vitamin C or L-ascorbic acid, and then a targeted, for instance, trihex technology, elastin serum. And then combining that with supplementation, the bare minimum would be the building blocks of collagen. So for instance, vitamin C and zinc orally, and I personally recommend the SkinAid collagen supplement because of its evidence base. So that would be bare minimum for that optimal outcome.
So the body care, the products, is the same as for the face, the proven. What I love is when you were talking about the treatments, because there are so many out there that, and people always think I was with aesthetics, new is the best, but actually, from working with doctors like you all my career, new is not always the best. When you're talking about sculpture, when you're talking about soft wave, these are tried and trusted. And then you're saying, so a retinol, a sunblock, and a vitamin C.
Vitamin C.
Do you have any particular favorite products? It's always good to get a good tip.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are some that I would prefer as a prescription option, if available and medically suitable. So for instance, vitamin A's may be prescription-based. When it comes to sunblock, again, I like to keep it very pragmatic. Whatever works for the patient, as long as it's a good quality SPF 50 and they use it adequately. When it comes to vitamin C, there's, for instance, the Skinceuticals range that has a really strong evidence base. And then my targeted serum preference is elastin, because they have this really interesting and innovative trihex technology, which essentially filters out old and broken down collagen to make space for the new. So that is my absolute hero type simple products for a home regime.
I have to say that since I interviewed all of you three before Christmas over the phone, I actually have to spend more time in the bathroom. But I'm seeing the results. I mean, you can't hide it all under a long jumper anymore. So, Fazana, I wanted to ask you, you, as you're saying, as nutritionists, it's more about building a healthy body, healthy skin from the inside out. Now, obviously, we know the effect that nutrition has on us. We certainly know the effect that bad nutrition, like too much to drink or a heavy meal, can have on us, particularly post-Christmas. But I wanted to ask, with your clients, what do they report back to you when they've been on a nutrition regime with you? What do they say? I mean, beyond maybe more energy, what do they see on their actual body? What do they report back in the condition of their skin?
So a byproduct of like supporting yourself from the inside out is, yeah, they will see better energy. They see better hormones, so better stable energy, better hormones. On perspective, like for your skin, just clearer skin, less issues. So like when you're eating better and you're eating in a way that's blood sugar balanced, for example, you're less likely to get breakouts and acne and stuff. You're likely to have a clearer complexion. Less problems with the skin, and happier with the skin, and more hydration.
Are some of these changes quite quick? I mean, if they're, I guess if you can affect the gut quite quickly and start to feel better within yourself if you change your eating patterns in a matter of days or a week or so? Or
Oh, so usually there's about 4 weeks between. So if we make changes, for example, in an initial consultation, we would meet 4 weeks later. So we'd have an initial, make the initial changes while they get things like testing done. By the time we meet 4 weeks later, before we even go through testing, things like skin have cleared up. Like there's such simple things you may do, like with food, supporting your liver, supporting your gut microbiome, that they reflect very, very quickly. In a matter of 4 weeks, you can see huge changes in that for sure.
now, the one thing I want to ask you about is fiber. Because that has, I mean, I grew up with a mother on the F-plan diet. So we've gone good fats, bad fats, no carbs, all different diets. And that fiber now is back as the big, is it a trend or is it hugely important? And also, I think most of us want to know, how do we get more in our diet? And what's the easiest way? I was like, is there an easy way to get it?
Yeah, fiber is definitely back. Fiber, I'm a bit obsessed with it. I've just written a book about it, so I definitely have an obsession with fiber. 96% of us in the UK, 96% of adults who do not get enough fiber in our diet. That's huge. And it's definitely the missing nutrient. So fiber is in all plant foods, fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, herbs, legumes. It's in everything. So, like, for example, kale, it's not like a superfood like kale, but it is in every single food. So it is its own superfood. The way it works is when we eat our food, so when we eat our plants, fiber is in all plants, when we eat our food, we extract the nutrients from it, and then the fiber goes to our large intestine where our gut microbiome break it down. As humans, we can't break down fiber, but our gut microbiome can. So we have about 20 enzymes to break down food. Our microbes have hundreds. So they break down the fiber. And when they break down the fiber, they produce compounds that are called postbiotics. Postbiotics are what the magic is. They are anti-inflammatory compounds that have an impact on every system in our body. They help with your skin. They help with your mood. They help with your hormones. They help reduce the risk of all chronic diseases. This is why it's so important. There is no drug or anything out there that can have the same impact that fiber can have in your diet. And we all have access to it because it's in all plant foods. And so, yeah.
Can you, I mean, I know a lot of these, can you, like a collagen powder, a collagen drink, can you get fiber in that way, something you can add in? Is it...
So collagen is
But with fiber, is there a way that you can have, I mean, to make it easy for people? So it's almost a way of having fiber as a supplement as opposed to in the diet.
I mean, you always want to take a food-first approach to anything. You always want food first. You can absolutely take, there are lots of fiber supplements that are out there that you can take, but it's always, and I'll explain how you can get it in really easily as well, but it's always a food-first approach. So they are supplements there's like psyllium husk, a lot of people have heard of that, really easy to take. Just start with half a teaspoon in a big glass of water to help your gut. There's one that's called PHGG, partially hydrolyzed guar gum, that's in research has showed to feed the microbes, crowd out the problematic microbes, lower the pH, and have a really good impact on the gut and therefore knock-on effect on the rest of the systems of the body. There are other brands there are the mixed fibers that you can have, like Arta do a really lovely one, Ancient and Brave do one too. It depends how you want to take it. So anything with PHGG is tasteless. You can add it to a coffee, to a tea, and it gives you about 5 grams of fiber. So we're aiming for about 30 grams of fiber a day. Most of us are getting about 18 to 20. But yeah, you could definitely use some supplements, have a taste. So like psyllium husk will have a taste, but like things like partially hydrolyzed guar gum will dissolve in anything, like in coffee or a tea.
And I know obviously you treat your patients in a very bespoke, personalized way. But I just wondered, are there some supplements that you feel that we should all be taking or be maybe aware of whether we need it? If there's one or two out there that we should.
Vitamin D, that's like a huge one. I mean, in the UK, we don't absorb vitamin D from the sun. So the sun is the main source of vitamin D. We don't absorb vitamin D from the months of October to March. Even the NHS recommends in this time to take 10 micrograms a day. It's always worth getting tested because some people won't even absorb it in the summertime. So it's worth getting tested. Labs like MediChecks and Better You, they just offer a finger prick that you could do at home to check your levels, and then they will advise on the amount to take to get your levels to where it should be. Vitamin D, we have a receptor on every single one of our cells for vitamin D. So it's hugely important. It helps not only immunity, it helps with mood, it helps with energy, it helps with everything. And usually around February, our vitamin D is at the lowest, and that's when like colds and flu are at the highest as well. So definitely everyone is recommended to supplement vitamin D at the moment, 10 micrograms, and if you can, get tested, because then you can actually personalize that a little bit better as well. But that would be the one supplement that I think everyone should be taking.
Anna Marie, I wanted to come to you. So we've touched on before about the GLP-1 treatments, and there was something you told me which I thought was something I hadn't heard about it, which is we all know, or we've heard that they affect the skin, which was thought because people lost weight, so they had a looser skin problem. But the research that I think you've been involved in is showing something quite different, or something extra that's also negative.
Exactly. My research is focused more about specifically fibroblasts senescence, but I won't go into details. However, interestingly enough, yesterday, a paper was officially published by Sabrina Fabi, Stephen Dyan, actually confirming what clinicians observe in their clinic all the time, that skin is affected differently when you lose weight on an accelerated weight loss injection than when you lose weight normally. And that is because as you lose weight faster, you age faster. So we've all have this idea of someone who was obese and for health reasons has had to lose weight. And we know that they would look like a deflated balloon, and we sort of expect that. The interesting thing was that you observed the same skin laxity on people who've lost 4 kilos, and you couldn't understand why. So it is now confirmed that definitely there's hair loss. Between 20 to 75% of hair loss is observed on people on that. Confirmed accelerated skin aging. I'll go a bit more into detail. We do know there's a 35% risk because it causes depression of suicide. I don't know if you've read, the FDA is really working hard on trying to pull that off from the warnings. And that's very much linked to something that's linked to everything everyone else was saying. One of the main side effects of accelerated weight loss injections is the effect called anhedonia, from ancient Greek hedony, which is hedonism, which is anything that makes us feel good. So hedony is from making love to drinking wine, to eating food you like, to seeing a painting you adore. And we know that there's a paper published in Canada in the 70s that says that the top 3 anti-inflammatory things are all linked to feelings of hedonism. So because this anhedonia as a main driver of using GLP-1s, that means that people become sadder. That means, and I'm explaining the skin here, when people are sadder, they're more stressed. When they're more stressed, their gut microbiome is affected. In return, the skin microbiome is affected. When the skin microbiome is affected, the skin barrier is affected. When the skin barrier is affected, the exposome, what our skin is exposed to, is harsher. There's no defense, which means that anything in the environment that would normally facilitate aging, that is multiplied by about 70%. And that's just one of the mechanisms that we know the GLP-1s accelerate skin aging. What we are doing, the research we are doing at UCL, which is very interesting, there's 2 different researches. One is, again, based on observation I've had as a clinician, is what if these injections literally go to the cells that are responsible for producing collagen and elastin and making them age? And that's a different thing, because already we stop producing collagen and elastin when we stop growing. There's no reason. Our body doesn't understand why they need to do it. Collagen plumps, elastin tightens. So you need to be able to plump and tighten as you're growing. Once you've stopped growing, you don't need it. What you do need to do is use collagen and elastin if you injure yourself. So you want, for when you injure yourself, those cells to be able to work well. If you're accelerating the aging of those cells, it means that when you do need collagen and elastin, those cells won't produce it as well. That's why the elderly don't heal as well. Therefore, if you're using, and I don't know if you're seeing the flow here. So if you're using these injections, one, your skin is aging anyway because you're using fat too fastly, you're using muscle. And then any treatments you do in clinic don't work as well because those cells are not responding as they should. That's the research we're working on at UCL.
So if somebody decides to stop having the injections, their skin, I guess this accelerated specific aging will stop, but it's still already aged.
Yes, and the biggest problem when you stop these injections, and there's a big discussion in the NHS about this as well, because they're also being prescribed for people who need to have surgery quickly, right? The biggest problem is when you stop, forget about the fact that you do regain the weight, we know that, is that the composition of tissue is bad. So everyone knows, nutritionists, people in aesthetics, that what's very important is to have correct body composition. So the ratio between fat and muscle to be optimal. If you have more fat and less muscle, that's not healthy. When you're on these injections, yes, you're getting rid of the fat, but you're also killing your muscle. And then your muscle after a certain age does not regenerate. So the moment you stop, not only you put the weight back on, but then your body composition is worse and your skin composition is worse because your muscles are very thin and then you get this unhealthy fat layer that looks like you've had bad filler. Basically, I don't know how. And you've seen it. So if you see, when you see they used to call Ozempic face, you have the skin fat pads. Then those people, when they put the weight back on, because it's accelerate weight regain, it's again not healthy looking.
It is you see it a lot on the red carpet.
Yes.
And it's a hollow look.
Exactly.
It's not a healthy look. It's different from people who've lost weight in a normal way.
Exactly, and that's what I was going to say, and it's all into the tone of the skin. So you can lose weight on diet and nutrition. You will look more tired, but your skin won't look gray. Why does skin look gray on people on Ozempic? Whose skin looks gray? Dead people's skin. Like, there's cell death involved. And going back to that, we know why that's happening. It's because mitochondria are being suffocated when you're on GLP-1.
Has it changed you work internationally, but has it, and you have people from all over the world that you treat, has the way you treat or the machines you use, has that changed because of this?
Yes, and because I don't like to make this personal and egotistical, I think it's actually accessible also to lay people. I advise you to read this publication by Diane and Fabi, because this is actually a global thing now. So clinicians all around the world found out that the modalities, energy-based devices or lasers they were using, or whatever they were using as injectables, they had to tweak their protocols because they could see that something wasn't working. So yes, it's changed not only for me, but for the whole field. And now we know why. And the problem is that you have to take smaller steps when treating patients now than normal, because we now know that GLP-1s affect hormones. So if you have a woman who's perimenopausal or just postmenopausal and is on GLP-1s, and this is also confirmed by the paper I'm quoting. Sorry, that's the academic in me, like reference. There's reference here. The skin changes are 135% different from month to month. And that is because the hormones already are imbalanced. You're giving GLP-1. That's causing more dysregulation, which means that the doctor who's looking after you has to actually tweak what they're doing, not because they're not good or efficient, but because it's like treating a new person every time they see you. So you're still using the same treatments. Of course, there's a stronger focus, and I don't like saying collagen stimulation because you can't stimulate collagen. Collagen is not something that exists in your skin. You have to stimulate the cells that produce it. So it's fibroblast stimulation. And biostimulators stimulate fibroblasts. So there is a shift toward those treatments in clinic and how they work with the modalities, but also how much of those we need to use. The quantities have changed.
And also what I love is, like Dr. Anna, although you both have incredible machines, you're also a big fan of what we can do at home. And you also have a very simple body products that you use. Well, again, now what's your protocol? What's your routine that we could do at home?
At home. So I agree with Anna. I would just, again, a little tweak. I love retinols, vitamin A's for the body, but please first it has to do, for women, it's very age dependent. From a certain age onward, we shouldn't really be using a lot of vitamin A because vitamin A does make your skin a bit thinner for a while. And already when you're menopausal, and it has to do with the skin barrier. So, but if we like to generalize, I totally agree with my lovely colleague here. One thing I think you need to do, though, because, okay, you're using whatever topical products, how can you maximize absorption and at the same time keep those fibroblasts alive? So anything you do mechanically will do that, right? So if you cut yourself, you're going to get fibroblasts creating collagen and elastin. So first, go over with a dry brush. Dry brushing, I know it's mundane. I love simple things, going back to basic. Dry brush morning, evening. I'm very much for dry brushing your face as well. Then use whatever topicals you're going to use. Let's not forget, and again, I'm going back to the vitamin A, the retinol, a huge, huge topic right now, and one of the trends everyone should be following is skin barrier. Skin barrier is very important. Why? Because it's the only thing that protects you from the outside. Let's not forget, skin is the largest organ of the human body. It's all fine about, okay, I want no cellulite and I want poreless, but it is your largest organ. So it's good to have a healthy liver, but if your skin isn't healthy, so skin barrier, so you're protecting your largest organ. What's important for the skin barrier? Moisture. So yes, you're going to use everything else, but you do need to use a very simple Cetaphil. You don't have to pay lots of money. What affects the skin barrier no one talks about? What you wash your body with. So I always say baby washes, rich and all that doesn't even go through. It's okay to make you feel nice and a nice smell, but any baby wash with no soap in it is the best thing to protect the barrier of your body. Don't forget, when you're senile, you're like a baby. So I always think the older we get, the more our skin treatments should be closer to what we use on babies. So I would say dry brushing. In terms of supplements, totally agree, vitamin C, although, and please forgive me, I know my colleagues touched on it, but before taking any supplement whatsoever, make sure you need it. One of the greatest scientists of our times, Steve Horvath, who won the Nobel 2 years ago within longevity, said this in a conference which I'll never forget. They're called supplements because they're only there to supplement. You don't take a supplement just in case, with the exception of vitamin D on certain age groups, because vitamin D is a hormone moderator. Let's not forget that. It affects hormones. So certain age groups, I'd say without that. So first, have a test, see what you need, and then, of course, complement with the supplements we mentioned.
One of the things that I always find really interesting about collagen is that if you go into a clinic, you can often have quite aggressive, quite painful treatments to stimulate the collagen. But talking to doctors like yourself, you can also stimulate the fibroblasts by body brushing, by massage. I think there's some research.
Yes, of course.
So even when so all of those things, if we're doing it every day, maybe morning and evening, that's having an effect.
Think about just waking up your cells. Your cells need trauma, the skin cells, because you need trauma to regenerate. So any minor trauma is going to help. Body brushing. And the reason I'm not going more on is because it's already been covered nicely, and I think we need to keep it simple. If I say the 10 things you need to do, and then my colleagues say another 5, you'll still be confused. So topical skincare for the body is great. Barrier is the one thing I want to add. If you don't want to overload your skincare regime, do your barrier through whatever you wash your body with. Dry brush. let's not forget the order. So how do we do these things? Sorry, but this is very important. So first you brush, so you get rid of the old cells, you get the new cells a bit injured. Then you wash with something that protects the barriers. Okay, I've optimized the skin health, I've opened the pores, then you apply your products, okay?
And just finally, before we finish, I wanted to ask all of you the same question. So, Fazana, I wanted to ask you, what for you is the one thing you've done? It doesn't have to be necessarily nutrition, but if there's one thing that's makes you always do for your body that makes you feel a bit more confident, makes you just feel healthier, what's your one thing for you?
It's probably my morning routine. So I think the way you start the day has a knock-on impact on the rest of the day. So it's like not one particular thing, but it's like how I start my day. So, because it has a knock-on effect. So in the morning, always hydrate. So I like something warm. I like to habit stack as well with that. So when I hydrate, I'll do something like nettle tea. So you've got your minerals in that too. That's good for your liver as well. Making sure I have a breakfast that is high in protein and high in fiber as well. So that keeps my energy good. It keeps me satiated. And, you want to get 30 grams of fiber a day. If you can get a good amount in the morning, that makes the rest of the day so much easier. So if you can have like a third or like 10 to 15 grams in that morning bowl or whatever it is that you're having, and again, habit stack with that too. Like if you normally have like a porridge or a yogurt or a smoothie, add some ground flax, add some oats, add some chia, like add some blueberries, some fruit. So you can add, there's so many different things that you can add to that bowl to make it more satiating. And that way you have better energy. And if you have better energy, if you have a good breakfast with good protein and fiber, that keeps your energy not only stable to lunch, but it has a knock-on effect for the rest of the day. So if you start the day with just, say, carbs, you'll have like a spike and then a dip in your blood sugar, and that has a rebound effect for the rest of the day. So starting your day well actually helps keep your blood sugar happier for the rest of the day, and then you feel better, your mood is better, it's more stable, your energy is better, you're less likely to get crashes, and just morning light and getting some steps in, getting some fresh air, that's good for mood, that's good for energy, that's good for focus. So it's not one particular thing, but it's the way I start the day, and it's usually like hydration, blood sugar balanced meal, and morning light and some steps.
And then also whatever you do in the morning, whether it's work, you've got it done. So you've done something good. If you start your day well,
and then you want to continue, right?
Not like me over Christmas with my chocolate advent calendar every morning. That was not a good way to start my day. Dr. Anna, what about you? For you personally, what's the key thing for you that makes you feel good about your body that is now your non-negotiable for you?
So for me personally, it was the loss of my postpartum weight. So I put on 35 kgs with an IVF journey, and for someone of my stature, that's really quite significant. So being able to lose it, it was not medication-driven weight loss, but it was rapid. So over 6 months, losing 35 kilos was a big thing for me. So I do really sympathize and empathize with patients who have gone through that kind of life-changing weight loss and how that really affects their quality of life and even lifting limitations on professional and social limitations, etc. But for me, it was early intervention with skin tightening treatments throughout that journey and being educated from the start to prevent any of these changes that was really valuable for me. So I feel like I've really addressed that mismatch in how I saw myself with and without the excess weight, and then being able to replenish and stimulate my cellular function and collagen structure throughout that journey.
Anna Marie, what about you?
I'm going to say two. One is I'm hoping to resonate with the audience, and I'm happy to see that it shows as one of the top trends moving forward in aesthetics. And that's because the title is Body Confidence, is accepting that I can only improve what's in my DNA, right? I'd love to have Naomi Campbell's body, but I cannot. And coming to terms with that and saying that I can make the body I have the best possible, that gives me confidence. Because I think a lot of confidence is lost when the pressure of looking like someone else. When we can't do that, end of story. So let's embrace who we are. So that does give me confidence, funnily enough. And then something, again, very simple, lymphatic drainage. I tried to give tips that I think would work for everyone. So I think just getting a good lymphatic massage has changed me a lot. As someone who suffers a lot from fluid retention, I have a very, very lazy lymphatic system. So that's what gives me, because we're talking about body confidence.
That's brilliant. Thank you all very much. And also, what I particularly love is because I know you're all in a very high-tech, high-science area, is that you give such the advice for what to take at home, what to do at home. It's just so doable, and we know that it works. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.